All right, welcome back, all. Part two of our sleep masterclass. I hope you um, not only thoroughly enjoyed the first seminar, but more importantly, thoroughly applied the first seminar. I can tell you in the feedback over the last several days, I've had lots of people come in and talk about action steps, whether that's not scrolling through their phone the last hour of the evening or cooling their house down, or there's just a whole variety of things that people listed, but there's lots of people that are taking action. And ultimately, I wanted to take just a moment and appreciate those of you who do take action, because unfortunately, there is a reality in human nature, but especially in our country, to place blame. It's the doctor's responsibility to help me sleep. It's their responsibility. It's actually, you know, from what I've seen and from many of the things I've read, the healthiest people take responsibility for their health. And so, while it's not always easy, it's certainly worthwhile. In fact, another author that I read over the weekend said, the way one simple example to dramatically improve your likelihood of success is to take short-term pain for a long-term gain. If you consistently and constantly choose the long-term gain, whether that's making changes in your sleeping routine, cutting out certain things that you might be, I'm going to use the word addicted to or hooked on, just making the mental decision, then finding an accountability partner for that. But the people that work toward that long term, and for some people that might be very difficult. That may be working their way off a sleeping pill, or helping using medical professional help by getting off an antidepressant, or making something that's really significant that their bodies become accustomed to, or again, the real word is addicted to, and making those long-term changes. Overwhelmingly, the person is glad they took time to invest in their health. And I want to appreciate each and every one of you that's watching this, that thinks that way and that has made a choice like that in the past. And I hope that you continue to do so. So we're going to continue right where we left off. We're going to finish up our 12 steps, and we have several other things that are really talking points that I've had people ask about. So I made a separate list of things to talk about. But going through and getting back to number 8 and 9. So if you remember, number 8 is relax before bed. Let your brain turn off and decrease the stimulation, whether that's reading, whether that's meditating, whether that's talking through your next day or planning your next day. For those of you that have a morning routine, and what I mean by that is you get up and you have a routine that you do before you start your workday, whether that's reading, praying, reading your Bible, meditating, working out, whatever it is, planning that morning routine for the why is a big deal. And planning it the day before dramatically increases success rate. But number 9 then is taking a hot bath or hot shower, but specifically hot bath. And that might seem counterintuitive, since we just talked about raising body temperature. So for instance, exercising within a couple hours of going to sleep can significantly raise body temperature. However, even though you're putting your body in warm water, that actually is shown to pull, the water is a conductor, and so it actually pulls heat out of your body. And so that's a way to lower your core body temperature more quickly. And so that's a way to get more ready for bed. And you may even know some people who do bathe or shower right before bed. Number 10, dark, cool place, screen-free bedroom. So again, to help your body temperature or you to sleep better, research shows that sleeping in ideally 65 degrees, but 65 to 67 degrees for the majority of people is the ideal sleeping temperature. So getting your room temperature down, lowering your core body temperature by 1, 2, or 3 degrees significantly increases quality of sleep, non-REM sleep, REM sleep. One of the things that I didn't really touch on with non-REM sleep, I think most people know just how important REM sleep is, but non-REM sleep is that it restores motor function or motor control. So for instance, in an athlete, they're more likely to have better body control if they got enough sleep, 7 to 9 hours the night before. There's actually also research in stroke patients that shows that stroke patients that sleep more regain their motor control after a stroke faster. Now, something that a lot of people have talked about, and I would say even more people used to bring it up when they would, a couple of years ago in the midst of the stresses of, COVID and things like that, is waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to go back to sleep. And there's a variety of reasons for that, but actually, something to consider is just how smart the brain is at doing so. So what's happening, or what a lot of the research shows is happening, is when you go to bed, regardless of how stressed you are, you need to get through at least 2 sleep cycles to survive, to be functional for the next day. Now, the ideal situation is for you to go through 4 sleep cycles, but 2 sleep cycles will keep you functional. So when people wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep and just have something on their mind, what tends to happen is they went to bed at 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, and then they went through 2 sleep cycles, which tend to take anywhere from 90 minutes to a little over 2 hours. And then their brain wakes them up because they have a problem to solve. So it's your body doing the right thing at the right time, because your brain is trying to solve a problem that you're currently mentally struggling with. So some strategies for that are, first of all, to not overstimulate your brain all evening. So to not be on your phone and scroll, to not just fill your brain with mind-numbing television, but to actually give yourself some time to sort through it ahead of time. That's why planning for the next day, thinking through why you might be feeling a certain way, is such a big deal. But actually, down number 12, so we're going to skip ahead here for a second, on the ways to get better sleep, is to not lay in bed if you're wide awake. So get up and do something. In fact, the book talks about, or one of the books, but the book Why We Sleep specifically talks about that for one person, one of the ways they used cognitive behavioral therapy to retrain them to sleep is they only did sleeping activities in their bedroom. So not watching television in the bedroom, not doing things until they're ready to decompress and go to sleep, but also then to do something that they didn't necessarily care for when they couldn't sleep. So in the middle of the night, for instance, they had to start scrubbing their floors, specifically their bathroom floors, before they would go lay back down. So if they couldn't sleep, they'd get up and scrub their floor. Scrubbing the floor doesn't take a whole lot of mental willpower. And so it's kind of multifaceted. Doing something like that allows the brain to think or to work, but it also puts a negative connotation on being awake in the middle of the night. And so the person wanted to go back to bed. And then if they woke up again, even if the floor was clean, they'd scrub the floor again. And then before they'd go back, and over time, they train their brain to flat out to not want to wake up or to want to sleep through the night. This would also be true for those of you that get up and watch TV or get on Facebook or scroll through your phone. If you did something that you don't particularly care for, even if you force yourself to like read a book that grows you, like read your Bible or read whatever, and over time, not that that's a negative, but you're going to train your brain to not think it's going to get stimulated if it stays in bed. And so you can really, really break that habit. But the reason that you go the 1 to 3, wake up, between 1 and 3 a.m. or after you've had 2 sleep cycles, is ultimately your brain is trying to help you solve something. And that goes back to trauma processing, which, again, there's so many things people do that inhibit trauma processing, like numb their brain with television, but also, drinking alcohol before they go to bed, consuming THC gummies or some sort of THC substance before bed. Sleeping pills inhibit trauma processing, and so do antidepressants and many other. And here's the thing, like, think about this, because I forget the number, but it's an obnoxious amount of people are on antidepressants, and they're prescribed by, a medical doctor who really doesn't have a degree in psychology. And the research shows for most of them that antidepressants are only supposed to be taken for 3 to 6 months. So they don't do long-term studies even though they know the long-term negative effects of those things like kidney failure, liver failure. But let's just stick in sleep right now. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't take these, but think about if you have emotional struggle, it may be necessary. I'm not here. I also am not a psychologist, but I'm, again, quoting the research from multiple books and things that talk about trauma processing. But if you take an SSRI, a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, you, first of all, your body is making less serotonin, so it makes more serotonin go into your blood. But over time, very similar to how aspirin, your body starts to intentionally thicken your blood when you take it. It makes less and less serotonin, which causes the need for stronger medication. And then, of course, if you tried to go off of it, you now would have radically less serotonin in your blood, which would make you even more depressed, which creates an addiction, or how it's so difficult for people to get off those. And very rarely do doctors really explain how to get off of them, or even the process. It is very difficult. But to stick with the sleep discussion, think about this. Trauma processing is something you need to do on a daily or nightly basis, meaning that you need to sort through all the interactions that you had throughout your day, and your brain needs to solve those. And if a medication that you're consuming inhibits that, you're going to get a buildup effect where, if you don't process tons and tons and tons of emotional responses, think about what that does. So then you try and get off of this medication, and you have a year, 5 years, 10 years of these things, which, not saying you didn't process them at some level, but you have a decreased ability to process those things. I mean, how hard would that be for somebody to get off of that? And so this is where there's for passive treatments, meaning that ones that you consume to get an outcome, there are so frequently so many side effects. And again, sleeping pills can affect your memory. They can increase Alzheimer's. We talked about this once already, but I think it's just so important to realize that if you're consuming medications or drugs of any type, many of those affect your brain. Many of those have side effects. Many of those are addictive, and many of those inhibit your quality sleep. And so if you are struggling with that, or if you struggle with quality sleep, this may be a big thing, and can be quite an undertaking. I'm not minimizing that, but there is a reality that continuing it does also have consequences. So the last one, getting sunlight exposure. I touched on this briefly, but our brain has a circadian rhythm. You might even notice that right now in the winter, you are more likely to want to go to bed early than in the summer when it's bright out. You're more likely to want to stay in bed in the morning when it's dark than in the summer when it's light out at 5 a.m. Well, that's part of your rhythm. Your eyes take in sunlight and gauge the day, gauge the time of year it is, and they base some of your sleep cycle on that. So if you work exclusively inside and that sort of thing, it makes it more difficult for your body to regulate your circadian rhythm. So a way to actually get better sleep is to go outside in the middle of the day for a period of time, whether that's going for a walk on a break at work, or working outside, when you get home for a little while, or something that gets you sun exposure. Not only does that help your vitamin D levels, but it actually will help your sleep. So those are 12 things that could really benefit you. I'm going to go ahead and go through some benefits of getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep versus getting sleep loss. So for instance, 7 to 9 hours of sleep is a 200% less likelihood of having coronary artery disease. It's linked to dramatically increased memory. For those people who lift weights or like to look more fit or muscular, more sleep is linked to human growth hormone production, HGH production, as well as your other hormones like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. So men or women that struggle with sex hormones, a big deal can be not only working out, but getting enough sleep can help your body regulate those. Again, getting enough sleep is linked to significantly better blood pressure and stroke volume. So think about this. You're less likely to have a heart attack or a stroke when you're sleeping. There's a reason why the week after Christmas, Heart attacks and strokes double. It's all the different stressors: low sleep, increased sugar, increased stress, less exercise. But many people, they're taking a blood pressure medication. They're saying, I just don't know how to get this blood pressure down. I'm on multiple medications and nothing seems to be helping. But think about if you got more sleep and better quality sleep, could that be the case? There's so many natural things that help your body do that. Chiropractic adjustments are linked to helping with blood pressure. But why would those two things? Well, they're both neurologic. Chiropractic helps your neurology relax. Sleep helps your neurology relax and heal. I mean, they're neurologic functions. Additionally, for weight gain, there's links with specifically type 2 diabetes and blood sugar, but also with your hunger hormones. So leptin is your fat burning hormone. That more of that is produced when you get enough sleep. Ghrelin is your hunger hormone, which makes you more hungry. And that is down regulated, meaning that you make less of it when you're getting enough sleep. So again, for those people who just constantly have a lot of hunger, for those people who struggle with weight gain, especially for body fat, this is how sleep. It's not that sleep causes you to burn more calories. It actually more correctly regulates your hormones. And so when you sleep as well, when people aren't getting enough sleep and they're losing weight, like let's say they're only getting 4 hours of sleep a night, but they're doing other things like exercising and or not. Actually, a significantly higher percentage of that weight loss is linked to muscle or the parts that you're trying to retain. When you get into the 7 to 9 hours of sleep range, a significantly higher percentage of weight loss is your body burning body fat and retaining that muscle because of course, the testosterone, HGH, and the other hormones that help you protect and protect the muscle and heal from these, often from the workouts that are causing that you're doing to try and lose weight. You have to be able to heal from those, otherwise your body eats that muscle. And another thing is, and I said this on the last one, but a stronger immune system. So I'm going to reread the thing that I read at the start of the last, but amazing breakthrough. Scientists have discovered a revolutionary new treatment that makes you live longer, enhances your memory, and makes you more creative. It makes you look more attractive. It keeps you slim and lowers food cravings. It protects you from cancer and dementia, wards off colds and flus. It lowers your risk of heart attacks and stroke, not to mention diabetes. You'll even feel happier, less depressed, and less anxious. Are you interested? And I wanted to reread that specifically because, again, this is having good habits, making these choices to be better with sleep, with eating healthy, with exercising, with getting adjustments. It pays off over the long term, but it's sometimes hard to quantify. Feeling happier, less food cravings, those are tough to quantify, but there is just a reality that doing the right things gives you a higher likelihood of getting the right outcomes. Just a couple more. Anger, frustration, like acting out or acting outside of your character, 60% more likely if you're sleep deprived. And you've probably all seen that, like in a child or maybe in your partner or something. But it's like the stress hormones that are produced or not downregulated when you don't get enough sleep makes you more edgy. It makes you more likely to be cranky. Another example is it increases ADHD type activity, not being able to focus, not being able to concentrate. There are quite a few studies that link children who are sleep deprived and ADHD. And here's the tough part, like plenty of parents work. They have to take their kids to daycare. They have to get them up before they want to. But there is, things that you can do, of course, even for kids, keeping bedtimes the same on the weekends. Over time, building an earlier bedtime for children if they do have to get up early. But, those medications, there's a documentary right now on Netflix talking about the brain and methamphetamines and how they put holes in the brain. And what is the most common drug given to children? Methamphetamines, Adderall, Ritalin. This stuff is absolutely horrible for mental development, for physical growth. I mean, if you can do things to keep kids off of that, I mean, you literally are changing their life. And again, the drug side effects are just absolutely horrible. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just read the label or look up side effects. It puts holes in kids' brains. And so getting a kid to bed, regardless of how much they fight it, is probably worth it. And so again, think about the different things that you can do to be better. So the last thing that I want to mention, low sleep is directly linked to increased cancer growth. So cancerous tumors, 30 to 40% more cancer growth when the person was getting less than 7 hours of sleep. So again, these are all studies. There are so many different factors in that. But to me, if you just hear that list, how do you not try and get more sleep? And if you're trying to get more sleep, I would encourage you to go back through that list of 12 different things and start with one or two things you can improve, but over time work into doing many of those things to get that quality sleep that you need to help your body repair and change. Now, I'm going to give you a simple list. Tips to improve sleep. So again, summary here. Decrease alcohol and caffeine consumption, especially later in the day. Remove screens from bedrooms. Cool your bedroom. Establish regular bedtimes and waking time, even on the weekends. And I will tell you, maybe this is just me getting older, but one of the things that we've switched, my wife and I, is just what time we start hanging out with people. For instance, on Saturday, we found a friend group that is just fine coming over at 4:00 and they leave at 9:00, and I'm not saying we're perfect or never go to bed late, but instead of them getting to the house at 7 or 8 at night, we just have them over earlier. So, I mean, there are things that you can do, and it just takes that mental shift. Going to bed when you're sleepy, not napping after 3 p.m. Again, a big deal. My father is a retired airline pilot. One of the sleep things that they taught them, because, he's flying to China, he's flying to India, and, across the world, you go through a lot of different time zones. And when you're flying there for 2 or 3 days and then leaving, your body never catches up. So what they taught those pilots is to, first of all, stay on Central Time. So like there were times that, he would work out at 1 a.m. and not sleep for X amount of time. And they'd sleep on the plane and they do different things but staying on Central Time. And then for sleeping, either plan to sleep for more than 2 hours or less than 45 minutes. Essentially stay in the light stages of sleep, or get at least one full sleep cycle. Waking up in the middle of deep sleep was not good for their brains. And so those are a couple other things. Never lie awake in bed for a significant time period. We just talked about that. Reduce anxiety by learning to mentally decelerate before bed. Again, what is that? That is trauma processing. And I'm going to say that a lot of times. You need to, and it is essential to process through your day in the morning and in the evening. One of the things, and I should have put it in the comments, one of the things that my wife and I do nearly every morning to sort or start our day is an 11-minute meditation. And I'm going to try and show this, but it's called the Kirtan Kyra. So KIRTAN KRIYA. We do the short version, but it's a song meditation that for 11 and a half minutes just allows your brain to sort. And what I like about that, I say frequently, my best thinking for the day for what I need to do or sort or think about often comes during that 11 and a half minutes. So that is part of our morning routine nearly every single day. And it could be part of a nightly routine if you need to calm down or sort or be in the middle of the night. And then the last thing for tips for getting better sleep that are quick and easy is get rid of clocks in the bedroom that you can see. Either unplug them or cover them up with a towel or something like that. But don't have a bright light in the bedroom, especially with a clock facing you. And if possible, wake up before your alarm clock so you don't get that blood pressure, stress hormone response. So talking about, again, some things supplement or food wise that you can do. Supplement or food wise, I talked about these two last time, but sleep and mood, this is really, really good for many people. And again, not something you need to take forever, but something you can take several bottles of. Helps with, it's got a little bit of melatonin. It helps with um, deeper sleep, serotonin production, serotonin permeability into the brain. Another one is for energy instead of caffeine in the afternoon is Max Fit. So again, you can take 3 of those pills, decaffeinated green coffee bean extract, ashwagandha, to give you energy, metabolism, lower your stress hormone response. 2 other ones that I think are essential for most adults. Adrenal Revive. Now, I don't have a picture of that, but Adrenal Revive is a supplement to help support your adrenal glands, which are what produce cortisol. Cortisol is your main stress hormone that causes you to retain body fat and be more overstimulated. Cortisol is what, for instance, marathon runners release to be able to run for, 4 hours straight and do 26 miles. But cortisol is released anytime you're stressed. So if you're stressed at work, if you're stressed with your kids, if you're stressed for whatever, if you're stressed because you watch a scary movie, cortisol is released. So Adrenal Revive helps repair the stress hormones. And a big part of this, for those of you that are, over 45 or over 50, especially women, your adrenal glands are built to make more of your sex hormones as you get older, as you go through menopause, ladies. Your adrenal glands are supposed to, and so having your adrenal glands be burnt out causes deficiencies and actually is linked to a lot of the menopausal or premenopausal symptoms that are not supposed to happen as intensely as many women deal with them. And so Adrenal Revive can help with that. And then at night, Adrenal Calm. So we carry Adrenal Calm. It's exactly what it sounds. It's got a multiple different things that help calm your body at the end of the night, lower your stress hormones, and make you more able or more ready to get some good quality sleep. So couple of last things that I just wanted to sort through. First of all, those are supplements. What about diet? So there's a simple way for healthy sleep, dietary wise. The carbohydrates you consume, you should consume a higher percentage of them in the morning. So not only is it ideal to not eat 2 or 3 hours before bed, but less carbs at night helps for better quality sleep cycles. Increasing carbs at night throws off your sleep cycle. Since your body heals more at night, for instance, healthy protein is a better, basically, as your day goes on, it should be more carb heavy in the morning, a little more neutral over lunch. And in the evening, you want more healthy fats and more proteins for building block and repair. So sugar at the end of the night, dessert at the end of the night, whatever you might do, sugary drinks at the end of the night, those are especially bad for quality sleep. Also, if you're struggling mentally, there are significant links to what's called cognitive behavioral therapy, meaning that you actually go see a therapist and work through some of the mental problems or traumas that you have. There are a couple of great books out there that can help with that. One is called The Tools. So it's called The Tools. It's written by 2 different psychologists. It's a light blue book, but it's an excellent book for trauma processing and for working through mental health stuff. The second is called Kill the Spider. And Kill the Spider is actually written by Carlos Whitaker, who's a singer for Hillsong United, for those of you that like Christian music, but documenting his journey through a week-long program at a trauma processing place called Onsite. So those are 2 great books. The Tools, again, light blue book, and then Kill the Spider. So some book recommendations: The Tools, Kill the Spider, Why We Sleep, and then Atomic Habits. So if you struggle with habits like having an evening routine, having a morning routine, the book Atomic Habits is just absolutely excellent. So continuing here, we talk about the value of sleep. You probably know this, but we know we die after a certain amount of time without food. We die for a certain amount of time without air, without water, without nerve supply. Nerves, losing your nerve supply kills you quickest. But if you were forced to not sleep, um, over time, you would die. There's a study in rats that show that rats that are fully deprived of sleep will die within 18 days. And then even if they're inhibited from one type of sleep, either REM or non-REM sleep, they'll die within 1 to 2 months. Sleep is essential for life. So I hope you truly implement or process this. The last thing I want to talk about with trauma processing is writing. So, some very famous people, in fact, even one of the founders of chiropractic used to talk about, because you can talk about whether it's your innate intelligence, your God-born intelligence, your subconscious mind, whatever term you want to use for it, those things are going to speak to you when you turn what's called your educated brain off, like your thinking brain. When you let your brain work uninhibited, it's going to come up with a lot of solutions. And so some people keep their phone by their bed, but I would even encourage you, more importantly, to keep like a notebook by your bed. And if you get woken up, like if you're somebody who thinks in the middle of the night, write things down, write it down so you can continue to process that throughout the day. And like I said, if you need help, seek a therapist, seek those books, but really take action. So the last word for the mystery word is room, ROOM, room. But I hope you found this very valuable, and more importantly, I hope you really take time to implement. I'm proud to be partnered with you. Have a very blessed day.